afternoon. We're going to get started. Right. I'd like to introduce to you Tracie Halvorsen.
Hi, thanks for having me. Like she said, I'm Tracie Halvorsen. I am the Trauma Program Director at St. Mary's in Madison, and I am also a member of the Falls Free Dane Coalition. So just thank you for having me today, and excited to share what we have about falls prevention. As long as my screen moves forward. Okay, here we go. So this is kind of the roundabout of what I'm going to talk to you today. Looks like a lot of words, but the nitty-gritty is we're going to go over why are falls important, why should we care about them, who do they impact? They do hurt. And then we're going to talk about some happier times of what can we do about them and how are we going to prevent you from falling. So, who here rode in a car to get here? Okay, raise them high. You rode in a car, right? Okay, of you that have your hands up, who wore a seatbelt? Right. Why do we do that? We don't, yeah. But we haven't always worn seatbelts, right? Okay, so self-proclamation, my husband is not a seatbelt wearer. I know. Trauma program director, my husband doesn't like seatbelts. So when we bought a vehicle not that long ago, he figured out, hey, I can get the service guy to turn that little dinger off, right? And then we upgraded his vehicle again, and now you can't turn it off. So now what does he do? He buckles up, right? Because we've put a lot of time and energy into figuring out how can we make vehicles safer? How can we prevent injuries? How can we prevent death? So it's just logical to most people to get in, buckle your seatbelt, good to go. And you would think that falls would be just as intuitive. How do I prevent falling? But it's not so simple, right? So every 20 minutes, an older adult dies from a fall in the United States. That's a huge number that you just can't wrap your head around. So to break it down, if you think about it, every 1 second, an older adult falls during the day. And 1 in 4 adults reported a fall in 2014. So I'm going to tell you that's actually a lie. Because people don't report their falls. Why do you think people don't report their falls? They feel stupid. Don't want to be perceived as being old. People also are very afraid that if they report that they've fallen, that they will be removed from their home, right? So 1 in 4 seems like a large number, but it's actually larger than that. So there's roughly, 40 people in here today? 45? So statistically from this, we would think that at least 11 people in this room today would fall sometime this year. And the number 1 cause of hip fractures is falls. Now we're sounding pretty morbid here, right? So we'll get to the good stuff, don't worry. But this is why it's really important. We need to talk about it. We need to figure it out. This is a graph from the CDC. This is the death rates from unintentional falls among persons greater than or equal to 65 years of age. Okay, it's split out into 3 different age brackets. So the solid line at the bottom is 65 to 74 years old. The heavy dashed line is 75 to 84 years old. And then the climbing dotted line is 85 years plus. Okay. This one's hard to see, so you might have to look at your reference slides. But normally, Wisconsin wants to be number 1, right? We are number 1. We don't want to be number 1. This is telling us that we're number one in the nation for deaths from unintentional falls between the years 2007 and 2016. This is a national average. So why is that? Yeah, you'd think so, right? So, yeah, you think ice, right? We also have some other recreational activities in Wisconsin, our brandy old fashions, right? I mean, I know you guys like those. So, if you look, Minnesota has the same number of falls that we have. They have the same recreational falls or recreational activities. They have similar sorts of weather. Their death rates aren't nearly as high. So actually when we look at it, we haven't figured out why Wisconsin is so high. Now we're going to bring it down to Dane County. So Dane County, you are more likely to have a fall than you are to get in a motor vehicle accident. So, we all remember how many people had their hands up for the seatbelts, right? Okay, how many of you in this room have been told you should use an assisted device like a walker or a cane or a wheelchair? Raise your hand. You raise your hand over there. Okay, raise them high. Don't be ashamed. How many of you used it today to get in this room? Oh, no. Why don't people use their walkers? I'll tell you why my grandpa didn't like to use his walker. He said, Tracy, if I use my walker, people are going to know I'm old. I said, Grandpa, you're 89. When is it okay to be old? He spent his whole life trying not to be old. And I'll tell you, my grandpa missed out on a lot of things because he didn't want to wear his glasses. He didn't want to wear his hearing aids. He didn't want to use his walker. And I'm very sad for him that he missed out on those things. And so I'm telling you, get that walker out, dazzle it up, whatever you need to do, and use it. So, why should we care about falls? They're the leading cause of injury and death among adults in Wisconsin. I think we covered that horribly well. In 2018, there were 1,500 fall-related deaths among people here in Wisconsin that were 65 and older. And there were over 43,000 ER visits due to falls. So, falls are a normal part of aging though, right? No, falls aren't. They're highly preventable, and that's why we're here today, right? So there's evidence-based fall prevention strategies, and that includes home safety, medication management, vision, balance, and strength exercises. These are the big buckets that they fall in. So home safety. You guys got a handout that I very much apologize that our color printer is kind of smudgy. But this is the CDC Check for Safety pamphlet. And it goes through many different things that you can look at in your home. Are there papers, shoes, books, and other things on your stairs? Do you have clutter? I have clutter. How can we get that clutter up? Look at your stairs. Look at your pathways. Is there stuff that needs to be fixed? Are there cracks? Look at your sidewalks outside, especially now is a great time with spring and summer because we just went through that ice period where everything kind of cracks and now it's time again, right? The biggest thing that can prevent a fall in your home, which is where you're most likely to fall, is lighting. So do you have good lighting? Do you have night lights at night? Okay. Do you have a light near your bed that's easy to reach? You know, these are simple things that don't take a lot of money to do. Plugging in night lights, getting a lamp, okay? Now we're going to talk about throw rugs. Throw rugs are great. They're great for the garbage. Get rid of them. Throw rugs are a trip hazard. If you really need a throw rug, like in the bathroom, make sure it's got a rubber bottom, or you can buy this double-sided tape that can make sure that it's safely secured, okay? So, and then let's talk about the bathroom. The bathroom is the place that we're most likely to fall. Why is that? Slippery. Water. In a hurry to get there. Yep. So we'll talk about that. So we'll talk more about these buckets, but I want you to think, okay? We kind of talked about what you have in your physical space, the lighting. We talked about the throw rugs. In the bathroom, we're not normally wearing footwear. So one thing you can do is you can get some non-slip shower shoes. You can get different decals that you can put down to make it less slippery. One thing that us Wisconsinites really like to talk about, and we're going to get a little personal here. I mean, we're already in the bathroom together, right? Bowel movements. Okay, you sit down. Most of us have to give a little push to get her out, right? And what happens is when we're pushing down, that movement of pushing down can sometimes drop your blood pressure a little bit. And then when you're getting up from the toilet, you get a little dizzy. So one thing that you can do to prevent that getting dizzy and falling right after you're done using the restroom is to sit there for a count of 10 to 20 seconds. Give it a little time, let your body readjust, and then get up, okay? I know it's not something we want to think about, but we see this every day in the ER of people coming in and where they fell was in the bathroom. The other thing that we can think about kind of related to the bathroom is our medications. So a lot of people are on blood pressure medications, and maybe you've been told that you're on maybe a medication called Lasix. Some people call it a water pill, and it makes you have to use the restroom quite a bit. So thinking about when we take our medications, probably don't want to take that water pill at night, right? Wanting to take it in the morning. But that's the thing about medications is they're confusing. And a lot of people are on a lot of medications. And so what's important to think about with medications? It's important to think about, am I taking them right? Speak with your pharmacist. Speak with your physician. Are we taking them in the morning? Are we taking them with food so that they're not absorbing as quickly? Am I on the right things? Over-the-counter medications are part of this. So people sometimes have trouble sleeping, and a little Tylenol PM seems pretty benign. It's got Tylenol in it, no big deal. But it's also got diphenhydramine, which is Benadryl. And Benadryl can make you drowsy, and it can also kind of follow you into the next day. So really thinking about what are we taking, and if you're unsure, make a call to your provider. They're more than happy to look at things with you. The recommendation is that we look at our medications and sit down with our provider or pharmacist at least once a year to say, are we on the right things? This isn't making me feel well. Can we switch it to something else? Okay? And then assistive devices. There was an article in the Lancet not that long ago that talked about hearing aids and hearing assistive devices. And it seems kind of counterintuitive that good hearing would lead to less falls. But if you think about it, you can hear your feet. You can hear things around you. You have more situational awareness so that you can see things coming maybe a little more quickly. The other thing that's great about hearing devices is you're less likely to have memory problems and dementia if you are regularly wearing your hearing device. So putting it in the morning, taking it out at night, and if you haven't done so in a long time because it's kind of a pest, wear it for at least 8 weeks to kind of get used to it again, okay? So, call to action. Your home safety assessment. You got your checklist. Now's the time to bring in people who can help you with it. Looking for grab bars. If you aren't someone who does maintenance on your home regularly, please reach out to the ADRC or the senior centers or anywhere else, they can give you recommendations to who can come in and help you put grab bars in your home, fixing those light bulbs that are maybe too high up to reach, fixing that cement that's, maybe a little bit cracked or, buckled a little bit with the weather. Medication review with your provider every year. And then what do you think people do when they have determined that they're now afraid to fall? What is the most common thing for people to do? Not moving. People think that if I don't move, if I don't get up and go and do this activity, I'm less likely to fall because there's less chance to, right? But actually, you're making it worse on yourself. So the research has shown that if you take less than 2,000 steps a day, you are going to become feeble. So if you don't have a tracker, I feel like they're out there everywhere. In fact, your phone probably has a walking step tracker on it. You just don't know where to find it because I didn't know mine did. But a Fitbit, any kind of thing like that, it can help you. It can remind you, hey, mine reminds me every hour, hey, you haven't walked 250 steps this hour. Like, get up and move. So it's really simple. 2,000 steps a day doesn't seem like that much. But I would challenge you to find out how much you're moving in a day. A lot of people think that you have to move 10,000 steps a day, and that's really, an arbitrary number. When they came up with pedometers many years ago, this was kind of just a number they threw out there, and it's not really evidence-based. But this 2,000 steps, this is where you want to be. So, risk for falls survey. This now looks at you internally, right? So we talked about the home, we talked about the medicines, things like that. Looking at the risk survey, if you take this survey and you score 4 points or more, you are at risk for falling, and you should talk with your provider about how we can change that, okay? Curbs, losing your footing, taking medications to sleep, feeling sad or depressed. These are all things that are pretty common. It's not something to be afraid of. It's not something to tuck away. This is something to take head on so that we can get out there and we can do the things we want to do, and we can stay in our homes, and we can have the best quality of life that we want to have. So this is where Falls Free Dane Coalition comes in. This is a group of people that is probably the best group of people I have ever worked with. Ashley Hillman is one of the people who heads this up from Safe Communities. It's a group of people that has representatives from health systems, physical therapists, senior centers, home health, EMS, the Aging and Disability Resource Center, public health, and on and on. There's just so many people, and it's grown over the last couple years because people know this is important. When the hospitals recently did their community health needs assessment, one of the things that the large hospitals here in Dane County recognize is that fall prevention is one of our #1 goals. We need to address this. It's important to the people that we serve. It's important to our family members. It's important to our friends, right? This is a systemic and grassroots effort to reduce rates of falls. So we work with EMS. We find out how many times is EMS going out to different locations and maybe just picking people up that fell that can't get up? How many times are they actually transporting people because maybe they have an injury? And then we work on the backside with the trauma programs to say, okay, this is how many times they were transported because we thought they had an injury. What did those injuries look like? Because one thing is, if you fall, you gotta pick yourself up after that fall and figure out, now what are we gonna do, right? How are we gonna rehab? What does that look like? How am I gonna prevent it again? Because the #1 thing that's gonna predict if you're gonna fall is falling. So we're trying to increase resources out in the community. We're trying to make this, a fun thing to do because it should be fun. It's part of our everyday life. So increasing access to balance enhancing programs and making it easy to figure out, is this a program that is going to help me prevent a fall? And then we do annual falls prevention community events. So historically, we did one large event called Only Leaves Should Fall. We have now changed our way of going about that and taking it to smaller groups and doing more mini events. Because what we recognized is by making everyone from Dane County come to a central location, people aren't able to get there. Or they're afraid to get there because they're afraid of falling. They don't want to go anywhere. They especially don't want to go somewhere that they're unfamiliar with. So by bringing it to people and meeting people where they're at, we have had a lot of success, and we've been able to meet and help a lot of great people. So falls prevention and balance enhancing classes and workshops. One of our subgroups came up with this Keys to Better Balance. So you can see that little B in a circle. If you go on the Safe Communities website and you see, or on any flyers you see in Dane County that have this little B, that means that someone has assessed this class and it's something that we feel is going to help you enhance your balance. So there's 4 kind of players that come into a class that will help you with balance, and that's strength, dual tasking, static balance, and dynamic balance. So I think we kind of all know what strength is, making sure that our muscles are staying strong, but we especially want to be focusing on our core strength. So you would think that a lot of your strength that you want to work on is in your legs, but your core is what's going to help you keep balanced. If you think about someone walking on a tightrope, yes, they're walking and keeping their legs in line, but a lot of times they have that bar, right? And they hold it right by their belly button, right? So that is helping them keep their center of gravity, keeping their core tight. That's going to help you with your balance. Dual tasking. Dual tasking means that we are thinking with our brains, we're doing a task cognitively, and we're also using our body. Because a lot of times when you're out in the community, you're not just walking, you're going to the grocery store, you're talking with a friend. You need to be able to do these 2 very important things both at the same time. Static balance. Static balance is your balance when you're standing still. Ways that you can help increase your static balance are very simple. Standing on 1 foot while you're brushing your teeth. Things like that, where you're standing still and you're focusing on your balance. Versus dynamic balance, which is working on your balance while you're moving. So that one gets a little bit more fun than standing on 1 foot and brushing your teeth. That's where this ballroom basics for balance comes in, and Tai Chi and other different things that you can do. If you haven't heard of these are all listed on the Safe Communities website. I would encourage you to go out there and look at them. Ballroom basics for balance, you can do this even if you have a fear of falling. They will help you. And if there's not something listed on there that you think you can do, reach out to Ashley. I bet you she can find you something that will help you. One thing I would recommend is if it's been a really long time and you are nervous about falling, is talking with your provider and saying, hey, is it safe for me to do this activity? Or maybe I need a assessment by a physical therapist first so that I can kind of take a check of where am I at and what do we think is safe for me to do. 3. What do we think 3 is? 3 is the magic golden number. 3 is the number of hours a week that we want to be moving. And it doesn't seem like much, but 3 can be a lot, right? You're not going to go out there and do 1 hour of activity 3 times a week, likely. I don't. So break it down. Do small bites. 10 minutes during a commercial break. Something while you're waiting for the things to heat up in the microwave. Maybe you're letting the dog out to go to the bathroom. While they're out there on the leash, do a couple of activities. If you make it something that's a habit in your daily living, this is going to get easy. It won't be as daunting. There's a great class out there called Stepping On, and this is an evidence-based falls prevention workshop that's proven to reduce the rate of falls by over 30% among people who finish the class. This class is taught by people who are trained to do so, partnered with a peer mentor. So the peer mentor is actually someone who's taken the class and they've made it through, and they feel so strongly about it that they want to help you. It's 7 weeks, 2 hours each week, and then followed by a booster session 3 months after your workshop concludes. And this takes place all over Dane County. If you need to help finding a class, Safe Communities has some help on their website. Ashley, again, can help you find a class. And, it's focused on strength, balance, home safety, vision, and medication management, and safe footwear. All the things we've been talking about, those 4 big buckets of categories that we want to look at. In 2022, we did some post-survey results just to see kind of where we were at. And you can see the dark red is the pre-survey. So the first one says, I can find a way to reduce falls. And you can see this is not sure at all. And then on the very middle, that's very sure. And you can see those results went up dramatically. The second graph on the other side is I can find a way to get up if I fall. And again, most people started off as somewhat sure, and by the end, people were sure or very sure. So there are techniques to getting up after a fall. First, you want to make sure, take kind of a survey of, do I feel anything that is drastically wrong? If so, don't get up. Make sure you can get somewhere that you can make a call. Life alerts, smartwatches, cell phones, things that are easy to have around. And then if you do think that you can get up, then do so safely. See if you can get over to a chair, get up on all fours, and use the chair to get up. Stepping on will also teach different ways that you can get up safely. But definitely do not be afraid to ask for help. There's tons of falls prevention resources on the Safe Communities website. We just did an overhaul of the website to make it way more user-friendly. You can actually go on the website, and it has videos of different activities that you can do. Some of the resources that we've handed out today are on there, as well as other resources. And then take a stand against falls. Don't let a fall strip you of your independence. We want to help you create action plans so that you can achieve your goals. If your goal is to stay in your home, if your goal is to do the activities you love, go out and see the grandkids play soccer, go out and go to ballroom basics for balance, we want to help you get there. So please don't be afraid to take action and help put on your seatbelt for falls. So this is my information, and I'm located at St. Mary's Hospital. You can always reach out to me there. You can reach out to Ashley at Safe Communities. Anyone here at the McFarland Community Center knows how to get a hold of our Dane County Falls Coalition. So please do so. We are so happy to help you, and I'd be glad to see you guys again in street clothes, not in gowns. So, do you guys have any questions? No? Yeah, go ahead.
There's and I can't find it now, but you mentioned sunglasses.
Sunglasses?
Sunglasses. Now, is that you should wear sunglasses when you're outside?
I would recommend that you do.
Or you don't wear sunglasses when you're walking in the house downstairs.
True, both true. So if you wear regular glasses, I would definitely invest in a good pair of prescription sunglasses. They're normally very durable. They last a long time. My husband has them. I have them. So I would definitely invest in prescription sunglasses if that's what you need. But wearing sunglasses outside is going to help you decrease that glare. So yes, I would definitely do that. And then if you have transition lenses, really kind of take account for how dark do those stay when you're inside. Because if you're finding that they're too dark, then maybe you need to find a different transition lens, or maybe it's time to take that transition lens out. Yeah. Go ahead.
What is the reason that there are, pardon me, so many deaths after a hip
After a hip
fracture
fracture?
of older people or whatever?
Okay, sure. So the question is, why are there so many deaths after a hip fracture? So the deaths after a hip fracture actually really aren't from the injury itself. Death after hip fracture, I think the statistic is about 25% of people will die after a hip fracture in 2 years' time, and that's normally from sequelae from the from that fall. So after people fall, if they're not getting out of bed because, now it hurts, they're getting pneumonia. For every hour that you stay in bed, you're losing muscle mass. So it's even less likely that you're going to get up now. You're at risk for blood clots from not moving. So like all of those different things that happen after a fall or after an injury, those are the things that are causing the death, not actually the broken bone. Good question. Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. I hope I didn't make falls too scary, and thank you for coming.